Have you ever wondered how your mental health affects your child's development? It's not something we often think about, but the reality is, it has a huge impact. Your emotional state can shape your child's emotional regulation, behavior, and overall well-being. Imagine this: a child grows up in a home where the parents are constantly stressed, anxious, or battling their own mental health challenges. They may not say it directly, but the child picks up on the tension, the mood swings, and the emotional volatility. What happens to the child in these environments? How does their emotional and cognitive growth unfold under these circumstances? Research tells us that children are not just products of what we do for them, they are deeply influenced by how we, as parents, feel. And the mental health of a parent doesn't just impact their ability to cope with stress, it shapes the very foundation of their child's emotional regulation, behavior, and overall well-being. Parental mental health is an often overlooked factor that can have long-lasting implications for a child's development. But how does this really affect them? Let's break it down. Understanding the connection between parental mental health and child development. You've probably heard that children are like sponges, and it's true. Kids are constantly soaking up everything around them, the environment, emotions, and even how we, as parents, feel. When a parent struggles with anxiety, depression, or chronic stress, those emotions seep into the child's world in all sorts of ways. Understanding this connection is the first step toward creating a healthier environment for both you and your child. 1. Emotional regulation and behavior. Let's talk about emotional regulation. Children are still learning how to manage their emotions, and they learn by watching us, especially us as parents. When a parent is mentally unwell, it can be really hard to model healthy emotional regulation. For example, if you're dealing with anxiety, you might get nervous, irritable, or overwhelmed. Your child watches and may struggle to differentiate between healthy and unhealthy emotional responses. They might start mirroring that behavior, becoming anxious or even withdrawn, especially in the case of depression, where children may become clingy or withdrawn due to a lack of emotional validation at home. And this emotional dysregulation can also lead to behavioral problems in kids. They might act out more, have trouble focusing, or struggle in social situations because they haven't learned healthy coping mechanisms. It's not just about what you say, it's how you feel that impacts your child's emotional growth. 2. Cognitive development and learning. Parental mental health challenges also affect cognitive development. If a parent is struggling with depression or anxiety, they might find it difficult to engage in activities that help their child's cognitive growth, like reading together, playing interactive games, or having those meaningful, thoughtful conversations. But when a parent is mentally healthy, they are more emotionally available and able to engage with their child. This gives the child the nurturing and stimulation they need to thrive. When you engage with your child in activities like storytelling, problem solving, or just exploring the world together, you're not only helping them build cognitive skills, but also strengthening their emotional intelligence. The more mentally present you are, the better it is for your child's learning, curiosity, and academic success later on. 3. Long-term effects, anxiety, depression, and socialization issues. Now, let's talk about long-term effects. Studies show that children of parents who deal with chronic mental health issues are at higher risk of developing emotional disorders, like anxiety and depression themselves. This is partly genetic, but it's also environmental. Children inherit certain genetic predispositions, but it's the home environment that really shapes their emotional health. If a child grows up in a home with a parent who struggles with mental health, they may develop adaptive coping strategies, have trouble regulating their emotions, and even face difficulties in school and social settings. Lack of emotional stability and inconsistent modeling of coping strategies make it harder for kids to manage stress as they get older. The good news: the earlier the intervention, the better the chances of preventing these long-term effects. What happens when parents prioritize their mental health? The good news is that it's possible to turn things around. Parents who recognize the impact of their own mental health on their children can take steps to improve both their well-being and their child's development. And prioritizing mental health doesn't just help you cope better. It creates a safe, stable, and supportive environment for your child to grow. 1. A healthier emotional environment. When parents make their mental health a priority, whether through therapy, mindfulness, exercise, or seeking support from loved ones, it creates a more stable emotional environment for the child. Children benefit from seeing their parents model healthy coping mechanisms, like managing stress through deep breathing or talking about their emotions. When you take care of yourself, you're better equipped to meet your child's emotional needs. 2. Improved parent-child bonding. Taking care of your mental health also strengthens the parent-child bond. Instead of being consumed by anxiety or depression, you become more emotionally available, patient, and responsive. And this allows for positive, meaningful interactions with your child, which fosters a deeper emotional connection. And that bond is critical for your child's self-esteem and emotional security. 3. Promoting healthy cognitive and social development. When you're mentally healthy, you're better able to encourage your child's intellectual and social development. You have the energy and enthusiasm to engage in learning activities, help with homework, and encourage problem-solving and creativity. Children raised in emotionally stable homes are more likely to develop problem-solving skills, emotional intelligence, and the ability to regulate their own feelings, which makes a huge difference in their academic and social success. How can parents take action? So, what can you do as a parent to ensure a healthier environment for your child? Here are some practical steps to get started. Seek professional help. Therapy isn't just for people with severe mental health problems. It's a helpful tool for any parent who wants to understand their mental health better and improve their coping mechanisms. Practice self-care. Things like regular exercise, sleep, and downtime can help restore your emotional reserves. Simple habits like taking breaks, journaling, or practicing mindfulness can make a huge difference. Model healthy coping strategies. Kids learn by example. Show them how to regulate their emotions by practicing healthy coping techniques like deep breathing or expressing how you feel. Open communication. Be open with your child about emotions in an age-appropriate way. Let them know that it's okay to feel sad, stressed, happy nor anxious and teach them healthy ways to cope with those feelings. Create a stable routine. Predictability can help children feel safe and secure, especially when emotional ups and downs occur. A stable routine can reduce anxiety and give your child emotional security. The connection between your mental health and your child's development is profound. When you prioritize your own well-being, you create a healthier, more nurturing environment for your child's growth. Remember, when parents take care of themselves, they provide the emotional support, stability, and guidance their children need to thrive. So, how has your own mental health impacted your child's development? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below. I read every one and look forward to hearing your experiences. And if this video was helpful, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and share it with other parents who could benefit from this message. Let's support each other in creating healthier, happier homes for our kids.